Right.
Oh,
Who else?
you know that's a story.
there
about
is-
Netanyahu.
Yeah. Thank you. Thanks.
You know that's the Bob, but
Afterwards. Okay.
I don't tell it to you.
A year of learning, Isaac and Evelyn Blachler in memory of his sister, Chaya Rachel Bas Isser. Friends of Leonie Meiselman, Leah Sabra Bas Chanach Zunda. Friends of Melaskotsky, Moshe Zelig Ben Mordechai, Martin Lippman and family in memory of his wife, Malka Chana Bas Pinchas. Friends of Herb Jeremiah, Tzvi Ben Zev. Friends of Sam Coleman, Shmuel Ben Yaakov. Friends of Gideon Lazinski, Mordechai Ben Shlomo Ben Meir, Bella and David Adler in memory of her father, Eliyahu Ben Yosef Kohen, and those who were inspired by Rebbetzin Emeritus Sheila Shapiro, Sarah Esther Malkabas Meshulam Yisachar. A month of learning by the friends and students of Rabbi Shalom Kornblum, Rav Shalom Ben Mordechai, Susan and Ronald Podolsky in memory of her father, Simcha Bunam Ben Yeshua, Michael and Judith Koretsky in memory of his mother, Rachel Bas Avram. Once again, Susan and Ronald Podolsky in memory of her mother, Chaya Bas Avram Dov. Bri Pizer in memory of her father, Yitzchak Dov Ben Shmuel. A week of learning by Jack Gilman in memory of his brother, Zev Yosef Ben Yitzchak, Sharon and Michael Glass in memory of her mother, Chaya Bas Avram Baruch, Isaac and Evelyn Blachon, in memory of his father, Isser Ben Shmuel David. Today we have a day of learning by Barbara Stern in memory of her brother Yisrael Abraham Ben David Mochka. May the Shamas have an aliyah, crank Rafiel Velti Yeshua Shamatzliah, Mechol Ben Israel Good Geben Shtia.
Oh, mine.
Okay, yeah. All right, I mentioned to Ernie Bloom yesterday that he was aware of the date that we are planning for the Siyum. Okay, we just need to get the information. Okay, in terms of location and time, so we can get it into the next bulletin for others as well. Okay, so I want to, we sort of stopped really yesterday at the, sort of at the bottom of Lamed Hey Amud Beis, or the top of Lamed Vav Amud Aleph, because we said on the very bottom of Lamed Beis, Lamed Hey Amud Beis, according to one view, where it says She'im Chozrim B'Tshuva Mikablin Otan, you raise it, put it as a question mark. Okay.
Well, Rav Shimon says that.
Well, right. We'll get to it in a second. According to the other, there was a period. Okay. In any case, as Heshi pointed out yesterday, it's good just to roll over to the top of the next Amud. Kiman, Rabbi Shimon, as Rabbi Shimon says, and that's what Michael was pointing out to us, according to his view, to the Rabbi Shimon's view, okay, which we saw was the whole discussion.
With the pasuk.
Yeah, back and forth. Okay, so I'm going to have us start today on the top of Lamed Vav, Amud Aleph. That's today's daf, starting the top line. Okay, all right. So there, certainly, come on, Rabbi Shimon, we have a period after that. Okay, so we pick up now. Okay, we said a number of times that there were miracles that occurred on the day that they crossed the Jordan. Okay, right? One of them was perhaps how high the pillar of water was. One was, another one could say, right, we're going to say, well, that's the introduction to the material and transition. Okay, and then another time was the point to what degree the fact that the Aron lifted its carriers and carried them across, and then brought them back down in front of the whole assemblage, things like that. So we're going to come back to that theme, okay, of what miracles occurred on that day. Okay, all right. So, right, Ubora A, come and see, or come and listen, understand. Okay, all right. Come and nisim ne'asuba otohyo. How many miracles occurred that same day? Okay. Number one, Avru Yisrael et Hayarden. Okay, that the Jews were able to cross the Jordan River that day, number one. Number two, Uva'u lahar grizim lahar eval, okay, yater mishishimil. And they were able to mark the distance. In other words, that same day, go the entire distance which we said here is 60 mil, okay, from the Jordan to Har Grizim and Har Eval, which implied it was some distance away. Right? Yeah, but that was according to the view of Rabbi Yehuda. Okay,
His prices, obviously.
seems to be according to him, right? And third example, ve'ein kol bria yichola la'amod b'fneihem. And another, that in their travel there was no animal, no creatures, and here this is really means people, no other tribes, peoples, etc., that attempted to attack them. Okay, v'chol ha'omed b'fneihem, and if there were any tribes or peoples that attempted to attack them, what happened to them? V'chol ha'omed b'fneihem miyad nitraz. Immediately they lost control of their bodily functions. Okay, well, that's an easy explanation. Okay, but there was a more colloquial explanation that other versions could give. Okay, what? Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's the whole point. Okay, Shenamar, as it says, et imati eshalach lefanech, and there's the word for fear. V'chamoti et kol ha'am asher tavo bahem. Okay, right? Send terror before them, discomfort them, etc., etc. Okay, so that's the point. V'gomer, v'omer, and we also say what happens. Another pasuk: tipol alehem imata v'pachad. The terror and dread fall upon them. Ad ya'avor amcha Hashem, until your people pass. Zo biyah rishonah. That refers, however, that pasuk can apply to the first time, okay, they came into the land of Israel, which was the group that came with Yehoshua. Okay, the first, well, let's call it entrance into the land. All right. Okay, so what happens? Ad ya'avor amzu kanita, the second part of the pasuk, right? Zo biyah. That refers to the return from Bavel. Okay, that's the second group that came, all right? And more me'ata, I might say then from now, Re'uyim hayu Yisrael lasot lahem nes b'bia shniya k'bia rishona. Okay, we may have been under the impression or the consideration that the Jewish people should have benefited from a miracle the same way those in the first return to the land, those
First arrival.
first arrive came to the land. So the second should have also. Elish Garam Hachet, but due to their misbehavior, their acts, right? A sinful act. Okay, well, sinful act. I didn't have a specific shot there. Ve'achar kach heviu et ha'avanim. Okay, uvanu et ha'mizbeach b'saduhu b'sid. Okay, so they did not merit the same kind of miraculous entry. They had to go through, okay, what we might call natural, a more normal entry. What did they do? Okay, they brought the stones, they built the altar, they smeared it with plaster, right? V'kadvu alehem kol divrei haTorah b'shivim lashon. Sorry, and they wrote the entire Torah. Interesting discussion, by the way. Art Scroll, I did make a note. Art Scroll 36A1, note number 10. Okay, make a circle around it if you're using Art Scroll. Look at it on your own time, please. But it's a worthwhile note to see that Art Scroll points out a number of different views from traditional Meforshim as to what was meant when it said that they wrote the Torah.
70 languages.
Okay, just
No, how much they actually wrote.
how much they actually wrote. But it's just worthwhile to look at that, just to see the difference among the Mefarshim, okay, to appreciate, okay, not only the research that Art Scroll does in providing the notes, okay, but
If you're a Talmud Chacham, you know that.
well, but most of us aren't here in the room,
Yeah.
okay? But on the other hand, to understand to the degree to which there could be differences of opinion among some of the traditional Meforshim, okay? All right. So what happens? In any case, they wrote it in 70 languages. Shnei Amar be'er hetev. They say in a very comprehensible manner. Okay? Ve'alu olot ushlamim. Okay, and also look at all the things they did on that same day. Okay, besides the travel, besides the building of the Mizbeach, okay, they offered things, all right, offered some offerings. And they offered v'halu olot ushlamim, v'achlu v'shatu v'samchu. Okay, they ate and they drank and they were rejoicing. Ubarchu uklalu, and they did also the whole ceremony of the two mountains,
And it's
blessings
noteworthy
and
that here
curses.
They did it after the Kurbanos.
Okay.
In the Mishnah, they do it before.
Right, right. Vikiplu et ha'avanim. Okay, and then they they took down all these stones, the Mizbeach that they built, right? Disassembled is what I was looking for. Uva'u, right? And they went. Velanu beGilgal. And then they traveled theoretically back, according to Rabbi, we would hold Rabbi, okay, or to the area of Gilgal, right? Shnei Amar ve'avartem otam imachem v'inachtem otam b'malon. Okay, okay, coming back again. You said, according to the pasuk, that they traveled and that they brought these stones back to the place where they were going to camp that night. Okay, all one day. That's why we're saying, that's why the Gemara started. Look at all the miracles that happened on that day.
And you're talking about almost 3 million people.
Right, okay. Right. Yechol b'chol, malon u'malon. We may have thought then, again, based on that pasuk, that each place that they would encamp, they would have to bring the stones with them, okay? Talmud Lomar, Asher Talinu Bo Ha Laila. Okay, that they would camp that particular night. Uktiv, and then it's written again, right? Okay, the following. Ve'et shtem esrei ha'avanim ha'ela asher lakchu v'gomer. Those 12 stones that they took. Okay, so now we get to a new item. Okay, how was it? I'm going to try to make a quick transition. How was it possible that Hashem arranged it so that no other peoples or tribes would be attacking them, or if they were attacked, they had bodily dysfunctions? Okay, so I'm suggesting that's how we connect to this next little piece in the Gemara. Okay, Tana, and we have a Braita that teaches the following: Tsar'a lo avra imahim. But this Braita teaches that a particular kind of flying insect, okay?
That Moshe used.
Okay, we're going to pick up to this in a second. And some want to suggest a name that was the Oriental hornet, okay? All right.
Can spit.
What?
Oriental hornets can spit.
Like that, okay? They shoot out their venom. That's the whole point. That's what they mean by spit, okay? All right, okay. Velo, and no, v'hakativ. But isn't it written elsewhere, right? V'shilachti et hatzara lefanecha, that I will send this insect before you. Amar Rabbi Shimon ben Lakish, he says as follows: Al sfat Yarden amda. They stood on one side of the Jordan. Okay, this is during the time of Yehoshua. Okay, amda. V'zarka bahen mara v'simta enehan milmala v'sirsatan milamata. He said those same insects remained on the one side of the Jordan, and they shot, I'm going to say, their venom or their poison across. And what happened? It blinded the eyes of those above, and it castrated them from below. Okay?
Well, I thought it was caused that the diarrhea.
No, the seer satan is castration. Okay, saris. Okay,
Gotcha.
right? Va'anochi. Why? Because we have a pasuk that says va'anochi hishmadati et ha'emori mipnehem asher kegova arazim gavhai gavho v'chason hu ka'alonim v'ashmid pir yom mimao v'shorashav mitachet v'gomer. So since the pasuk from Amos says it destroyed them, how those that were so tall, okay, as well as their roots, the top and the bottom. So that's how they gets the drasha that the poison then hit them high in the eyes, hit them low in their private parts. Okay. So, okay, but notice, okay, the implication also is that these animals did not go ahead of the Jewish people at the Jordan, whereas for Moshe Rabbeinu, they must have, in a sense, been
But they can't do it.
at first.
They can't go into Israel because they would be dangerous.
Right. So what happens? Rav Papa Amar. He says, Rav Papa explaining, Shtei Saraot Havai. There were two varieties of flying insects. Chad de Moshe, one that was associated with Moshe, v'chad de Yehoshua, and one associated with Yehoshua. De Moshe, those associated with Moshe, lo avar, they did not cross. The Yehoshua avar, but those associated with Moshe did cross over. The Yehoshua did cross over. Okay. Now we come back to our list of items that the Braita said of miracles. Excuse me. I'm going to ask you to get me some hot water, if you would. Just some hot water. Okay, thank you.
Sugar in it, maybe?
What?
No sugar in it?
No, just the hot water. Okay?
It's really hot.
Yeah, no, I understand that. So just add a little bit of from the
Cold
faucet. Cold one. Shisha shvatim alu l'rosh har grizim. Okay, now we understand that since the miracle occurred on that day of the blessings and the curses, and the pasuk went on to discuss how it transpired, we're going to look at that section and describe that in more detail. Okay, 6 tribes went up the head top of Har Grizim. Okay, but the pasuk went on and uses the word chetzio and half.
Ha,
Right, thank you.
it has a hay, which is what they're talking about.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Ma'i v'ha chetzio. And why is it, if it had said chetzio, in other words, it could have said half the tribes went up here and half the tribes went up there, but the pasuk has the word v'ha chetzio, and the half. So what's so unique about
Usually
that?
understood to mean the smaller
Well, we'll see.
number.
We'll see that.
No, only the leaders, the people, the
The
crowd.
Kohanim and Levi'im were
Not
in
all the Levim, just
No,
the leaders.
in the middle. They were in the valley.
So now I have 11 tribes.
We're going to get to it in the Gemara.
Almost all
Hold
the
on.
Levim went up. It was
Hold
only
on.
the
We're going to get to it in the
leadership that
Gemara.
was-
It's going to have to deal with your questions. Okay. Okay, great. Mai v'hechetzio. What do we mean by and the half? Amar Rav Kahana, this is Rav Kahana. Kaderech shechalukin kan. The same way that they were divided at Har Grizim b'Har Eval, kach chalukim b'Avnei Ephod. So the names of the tribes were divided also on the stones of the Ephod. Meitive. Hold on a second, says the Gemara. We have a challenge to this with another Braita. Shtei avanim tovot ayulo lekohen gadol al ktefav. That there were certain outstanding or good, but I like outstanding better, stones that were on the shoulders of the Kohen Gadol, okay, for the maintaining of keeping the ephod, for the whole attachment business, Okay, echat mikan, one that was on one shoulder and one on another shoulder. Echat mikan. V'shemot shnei masar shvatim katuv aleihen. And the names of the 12 tribes were written on these two stones. They were inscribed on the stones. Okay, Shisha al Evanzo, 6 on one, Vishisha al Evanzo, and 6 on another. Shenamar, as we have it written in the pasuk, Shisha mishmotam al ha'evan ha'achat v'gomer. Okay, all right. Now, what happens? Shniya ketoldotam. On the second stone, okay, they were written in their birth order, it would appear. Okay, velo rishona ketoldotam, mipnei sheYehuda muktam. And on the first stone, they were not written in their birth order because Yehuda was listed first. Okay, v'chamishim otiot hayu, and the total of all the names of the tribes resulted in 50 letters. Esrim v'chamesh al evanzo, 25 on one stone. V'esrim v'chamesh al evanzo, and 25 on another stone.
It's actually 24.
We're going to get to it in a second, right? What happens? By the way, this was in today's Shir Shel Yom. Okay. Okay. Rebbe Hanania ben Gamliel Omer, he says as follows as we go to the second Amud now. I know it's long, but we'll move along, hopefully. Lo kederech shechalukim b'chomesh hapekudim. Notice what we have here, a very interesting statement. It was not listed like the way they are divided in Chumash Hapekudim, in other words, in the book of Bamidbar. Okay, but Chalukin ba'avnei ephod, that's like that. Ela kederech shechalukin b'chumash sheni, but rather they were the way they are in the book of Shmot. Okay, all right. Just I want to again quickly interesting language here to say that one book is named Chumash HaPekudim. So, but why isn't the second book named, given its name, and simply said second book? Okay, not point for another time to discuss. Anyway, Kate Sad, how is it done? B'nai Leah Kisidran, the sons of Leah are in their order. Art Scroll has a note telling us that order. B'nai Rachel,
of course, for Yehuda, which we
okay,
discussed.
right. Okay, B'nai Rachel, Echad Mikan ve'Echad Mikan. The children of Rachel, in other words, Yosef and Binyamin, one was here, one was there. Okay, Uvenei Shfachot, and the sons of the Shfachot,
When it says
right? Okay,
B'nai Yosef and Binyamin, he was at the head of the list
one was at
and of the
Yeah.
second stone, and Binyamin was last
At the
of
end.
that stone.
okay, Uvenei Shfachot ba'emtza, and they had the sons of the Shfachot in between
Binyamin and
and
Yosef.
Yosef. Okay, now somebody is going to be asked, should ask the question here. Yosef wasn't a tribe.
Well, he
Okay.
was when
Menashe and
he
Ephraim.
is a
That's
tribe
Menashe and
when
Ephraim.
Levi is listed.
Okay, well, we'll see.
He sometimes
That's
has
why,
some-
but I'm saying that would be the question we need to come to mind. Yosef normally isn't considered a tribe. That's not right. Okay, so let's go on. Elamai ani mikayem ketoldotam. What then do I mean when I say, when our Breita said it was their birth order? Kishmotam shekara lehen avihem, that the names that they were called by their father. What does that mean? Velo kishemot shekara lehen Moshe, and not the names by which they were known by Moshe. How does the Gemara explain that to us? Reuven velo Reuveni, Shimon velo Shimoni, Dan velo Hadani, Gad velo Hagadi. Okay, so in other words, that's the answer to call by the father's the name the father called it. Okay, Tiyuvta the Rabbi Kahana. Tiyuvta. This is a proof text against what Rav Kahana had said earlier. So now we come back to our earlier question. Ve'elamai v'hachetzio. So what then do we mean? Okay, which was the import of Sid's question. The half. Okay, were the numbers really equal? 6 tribes and 6 tribes, or wasn't that the case? Let's go on. Tana, and we have a brighter. Chetzio shel mul har hagrizim miruba michetzio shel har eval. The half that were opposite, okay, that were there on har grizim was greater than the half that was on har eval, right? Why? Mipnei shel Levi lamata, because the tribe of Levi was below.
Some of.
Okay. Adraba. Hold on a second, says the Gemara. Just the opposite. Mipnei shelevi lamata bitsare lahom. Okay. So since Levi was below, that made them less. Hachi kamar. This is what it means to tell us. Afal pi shelevi lamata. Even though Levi was below. Bnei Yosef imahem. The sons of Yosef were with them. Shnei amar vidabru bnei Yosef et Yehoshua lemor. The sons of Yosef says to Joshua, Madua natata li nachala goral echad v'chevel echad v'ani amrav. Why did you give us only a single portion and a
2 of us.
and a single, so to speak? I'm using kevel here as boundary in a sense. 1, and we are such a numerous group. Vayomer aleihem Yoshua, and Yoshua says back to them, Im amrav ata, if you're so numerous, alei lachayara, go up to the forest area, right? Amar lehen, and they said back, lechu, right? Vahachba'u atzmachem biyarim, go up and hide yourselves among the trees, among the forest. Shalot tishlot bachem ayin hara, so that the evil eye does not follow.
The theory being that they're so numerous,
right?
That things are going to happen.
That things could happen to them, or because they're not limiting themselves to the section that was originally given to them by the Kadosh Baruch Hu, okay, that could be why they. Okay, Amrule. So they said back to him, Zarei di Yosef, the progeny of Yosef, Lo shalta be'ena beisha. The evil eye does have no power on the progeny of Yosef, right? Dichtiv, why? Because the pasuk says, Ben Porat Yosef, Ben Porat Alei Ayin. Okay, based on that bracha. Va'amar Rabbi Abahu, says Rabbi Abahu, Al tihi kore alai ayin ela ole ayin. Okay, a drasha where he says, don't call yourselves going up by the spring, call yourselves
You're not
that,
no evil
that
eye.
you overcome the evil eye. Okay, Rabbi Yossi Rabbi Chanina Amar, he says as follows, Mehacha Vayigula Rov B'Kerev Haaretz. Okay, that they multiplied in the land. Okay, how? Madagim Shabayam Mayim Mechasim Alehen, the same way that fish are covered throughout the sea. Ve'ein ha'ayin sholetet bahem, and the eye cannot, right, can't see over them. Af zaro shel Yosef, ein ha'ayin sholetet bahem. So likewise, the evil eye has no hegemony, power over the tribe of Yosef. Hani chamishim otiot. However, we said that the number of letters for all 12 tribes was 50 letters. Chamishim nachei chada havya. Actually, there were only 49, right? 50 minus 1, that was the case. Amar Rav Yitzchak, says Rav Yitzchak, Yosef. What regarding the name of Yosef? Hosifu lo ot echad. They added a single letter to the name of Yosef. When? Shnei Amar, Edut b'Yosef Shemo. Okay, that was in today's Tehillim, by the way, Shir Shayom. Okay, so adding the divine name okay, to Yosef's name, the Hey. All right, what happens? But say to al Eretz Mitzrayim when they left Egypt.
No,
Okay,
when he was sent out to rule over Egypt. In other words, he
Al
gave
Eretz
him the
Mitzrayim
hay was because he was going
to be a ruler
sovereign
in
over
Egypt, sovereign.
It says
Oh, yeah.
But say to
it
al
doesn't say
Eretz
min,
when he went out. Okay,
And
to rule
over,
to
right,
rule over Egypt.
right.
Okay. Matkifla Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak. Okay, but what happens, says Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak? Earlier it was said, Kitoldo Tam. Okay, Ba'inan, that it was supposed to be according to the birth order.
Or the birth name.
Okay. Ella, Kol HaTorah Kula. Okay. For example, throughout the Torah, we see Binyamin, okay, spelled one way, Kativ, Vahacha, Binyamin, Shalem. Here we see Binyamin written in Ketav Shalem, okay, and he had the Yud in it, right? Because the Pasuk says, if I remember, Va'aviv Karalo Binyamin, and that's where it has the Yud. Okay, Ketav Malay, right? That we use that on the birth announcement.
On the stones gives you
Right.
25.
That's the case. Va'aviv Karalo Binyamin, and there's the pasuk. Okay. Okay. By the way, my oldest son, that's his name, Avi
Yud.
Binyamin, with the Yud.
Okay.
All right, and that's the pasuk we use on his birth announcement. All right. Okay. Amar Rav Chana bar Bizna, says Rav Chana bar Bizna, Amar Rabbi Shimon Chasida, right? Yosef shekidesh et shem shamayim b'seitim. This is a real
This is a beautiful piece of it.
juicy, yeah. Okay. Yosef sanctified the divine name in private. What do we mean in private? In regards to the situation with Potiphar's,
Mrs. P.
right? Right. Hosifu olav ot echat mishmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. That they added then a letter from the divine name to Yosef when it says, okay, Behiotam Yosef, Edud Behe Yosef. Okay? Yehuda Shekidesh Shem Shemayim B'Farhesia. Whereas Judah sanctified the divine name in public. Okay. Okay. What was the example? Okay. Regarding Tamar. Okay. When he pointed out, yes, he admitted those items. Nikra kulo al shmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Okay. They're all on the name of the Kadosh.
That's not actually what they used.
Right.
In this price, it was Shevet Yehuda that went
Right.
into the Yam Suf. That was the public.
Okay.
I
Well-
mean, you had that's important because the price
Well, we'll
is going
see.
to talk about that.
We'll see. Ma'hi dichtiv. Right. But what isn't it said? Vayhiv kahayom hazeh vayavo habaita la'asot melachto. Okay. So now we're going into
Back to
some
Joseph.
detail about the Joseph saga. Okay. By the way, I think from this midrash, okay, or connected with this midrash, if you're ever interested in reading, Thomas Mann, M-A-N-N, has a 4-volume, it's a huge piece, okay, on the whole Joseph story in English. It was,
Would have
okay.
been in German.
No, it's in English.
It's probably
it was-
translated.
It was translated into English. Okay, all right. Another time I'll explain how I know that. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, milamed sheshnehem ledavar avera nitkavnu. This seems, says Rabbi Yochanan, to imply that both Yosef and Mrs. P had
Similar
similar
machshavas
intentions. Okay.
initially.
Right? Vayavo habaita la'asot melachto. It says he went back to the house to do his work. Rav Ushmuel, according to a machloket of Rav Ushmuel, Chad Amar la'asot melachto mamash. One says it was to do his actual
Sure.
household chores, right? V'chad Amar la'asot sarchav nichnas. that he simply went into the house to use the facilities.
No,
Okay,
to be with her, to meet his needs.
yeah.
That's what it means.
That's what I mean.
Look at Rashi.
Okay, that's how Rashi wants to explain it.
Well, that's what it is.
Okay, to do what he wants to do. Okay, ve'ein ish me'anshei habayit v'gomer. But it says also in the pasuk that there was no one else in the house. Efshar bayit gadol keveito shel oto rasha lo haya bo ish. Is it possible that in such a large house of this wicked man there could be no one else in the house? So the Gemara explains. Tana debei Rabbi Yishmael. They teach in the academy of Rabbi Yishmael. Oto hayom, that same day, Yom Chagam haya. It was a holiday for the Egyptians, right? V'halchu kulan lebeit avodat kochavim shelahem, and they went to their local base avodah zara, okay, to celebrate. V'hi amra lehen cholahi, and she said, "I can't go. I'm not right." Amra, that's what she said. Ein li ele yom shenizkak li Yosef kayom hazeh, thinking to herself, what a day this would be. I could have the opportunity to Joseph, right? What happens? Next verse, Vatitpasehu bebigdo lemor begomer. And it says that she grabbed hold of his garment, right? Be'oto sha'a, at that same time, ba'ata daikona shel aviv. At that same time, the image of his father came to him. Okay, to Yosef. V'nirata lo b'chalom, and it appeared him in either a dream or a mirror or things like that.
Mirror.
Okay, Thomas Mann in his trilogy there, whatever. Okay, refers to this midrash. Okay, particularly, and that's why I'm suggesting that he wrote. It's based in connection with not just the biblical story, but rabbinic midrashim on the Yosef story as well. Amar lo, he says to him, Yosef, atidin achecha sheyikadvu al avnei ephod. In the future, your brethren, okay, will be written on the stones of the ephod. Va'ata benehem, and you're going to be among them. Ritzoncha sheyimacheh shimcha mi benehem. Is it your desire? Is it your will to have your name removed from among them? V'tikra ro'ah zonot, and you would be considered like a shepherd to prostitutes. Okay, dichtiv. Why? Because it's written elsewhere. V'ro'ah zonot yoved home. That one who shepherds prostitutes loses his well-being.
And that's like a pun.
Right. Okay. Miyad, immediately. V'teshev be'etan kashto, and immediately we could say his bow
Withered.
Okay, returned to its normal status. Okay, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan Mishum Rabbi Meir, Sheshava kashto la'etano. Okay, that his organ basically became supple again. Vayifozu zro'e yadav na'atz yadav bekarka. Okay, and what did he do? He dug his hands into the ground, and from his hands, okay, flew yordu bekarka v'yatza shichvat zar'o mibein sipornei yadav, and his semen flew out from there. Right, a little bit. Right. Miyad avir Yaakov. Okay, midei avir Yaakov. From this, we see the power of Yaakov. Mi garam lo sheyichakek al avnei ephod ela avir Yaakov. Who then was the reason that his name, okay, Joseph's name would be inscribed then on these stones? It has to be the strength of the importance of his father. Misham ro'eh Even Yisrael. From here we see why he's called the shepherd of stones of Israel. Misham zacha v'ne'asa ro'eh.
Ben Yisrael.
Okay, that's the point. right? Misham, therefore he merited, and he became known as this shepherd, as this caretaker. Shneama, Ro'eh Yisrael, Ha'azinin Ohei Ketson Yotzef. Okay, that's the para. Tanya, and we have another brighter. Hayara u Yosef, Lotzeit Mimenu Yud Bet Shvatim, Kederch Sheyatzu Yaakov Aviv. It was worthy of Joseph, okay, because of his act. I'm going to make the connection of refraining from that behavior, right? The act of immorality, that ideally the 12 tribes could have come from.
that he would also produce 12
Right?
tribes.
What happened?
Exactly.
Could be,
Exactly.
could be. Exactly.
That's why it's called Yosef Atzadik, but a few called Atzadik.
Right. Ella, rather, however, what happens? Sheyatsa shichvat zaro mibein tzipornei yadav. Okay? That because his shichvat zera went from his fingers. And in other words, instead of producing progeny.
So he only.
But
had
what
2.
happens? Va'afal pichein. But nevertheless, okay, those other 10 children, okay, that would have been in addition to the 2 that he had to produce the 12. Nevertheless, they were produced by Binyamin, his brother, as we're going to see in a second. But the names of those children we're going to see in a moment are still associated with Yosef. Okay? Kiyatsumi Binyamin.
Notice the Yud.
Okay? All right? Achiv, from his brother. Vichulan nikra'u al Shemo. But they are named in association with Yosef. Shenemar, as it says, Uvanei Binyamin, Bela ubechor be'eshbol v'gomer. And now we spell it out. Bela, what's the first? Shenivla ben ha'umot. That he was swallowed up among the nations. In other words, he had to live outside the land of Eretz Yisrael. Okay? Bechor, one, ubechor le'imo haya. He was the firstborn to his mother. Ve'eshbol, sheshab o el, that he was held captive by God. Okay? Gera, shegar ba'achsaniot, that he lived in inns, temporary places. V'na'aman, why that name? Shena'im bioter, that he was very good looking. Achi v'roshi, okay, what is that? Achihu is my brother, v'roshihu, he was also the leader. Mupim v'chupim, those names. Hu lo ra'ah b'chupati, va'ani lo ra'iti b'chupato. Okay, it's as if to say, he never saw Binyamin's marriage, and Binyamin never saw his marriage, right? Ve'arid, right? So what happened? Sheyorad lebein umot ha'olam, that he descended among the nations of the people. Okay, so what happens here? We'll go just a bit further. Okay, Ikeda Amre, there are those who also say, Va'arad shepanav domin levered, that his face was like that of a rose. Okay, Amar Rabbi Chia bar Abba, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, he says, B'sha'ah she'amar lo paro liosef, another drush. Okay, the time that Pharaoh says to Yosef, Ubiladecha lo yarim ish et yado. Okay, without you, no one. In other words, I'm making you the viceroy. Okay, nobody will carry out roles, Michael. We carry out roles. Okay, but without you, Amru, it's Tagnine Paro. The astrologers of Pharaoh responded. Eved shelakhu rabo be'esrim kesef, a servant that was purchased by his master for 20 pieces of, let's say, silver.
That's
right.
Referring to
Tam shilehu aleinu, he shall rule over us. Amar lahen, right? He says, Pharaoh response, Ginune malchut ani ro'ebo. I see attributes of royalty in him. Amrulo, if they said im kain, yehe yodea b'shivim lashon. If that's the case, then he needs to know 70 languages to be able to be a ruler, part of the royalty. Ba Gavriel v'limdo shivim lashon. came, we had this before, remember? That Gabriel came to teach Yosef 70 languages. But what happens? Lo hava kagama. Joseph had problems learning them. Hosiflo ot echat mishmo shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He added that letter hey in Edut Behei Yosef, added the letter hey to Joseph's name, Vilamad, and therefore he was able to then learn those 70 languages.
All in one day.
Shana Amar, as it says, Edut Behei Yosef Shemo. Okay, but Seito al Eretz Mitzrayim, and here I would read, and therefore in his going out to rule over all of Egypt. Okay, all right, now we have Svat Lo Yadati Eshma, but another part of the pasuk says a language that I don't know. I hear Ulamachar, and the next day, Kol Lishna the Ishtai Paro Behedya, every language that Pharaoh would speak to him, Ahadarle, he was able to answer Pharaoh in that language. Ishtai hu b'lashon hakodesh, and so therefore Yosef then spoke to Pharaoh in Hebrew. Okay, lo have kayada, mai have hamar, and Pharaoh did not understand that language. Okay, amarle. Okay, Pharaoh says to him, agmare, agmare. I want to learn it. I'll learn it. Velo gamar, but he was not able to learn it. Amarle, he said to him, ishtabaile, make an oath to me. Pharaoh tells Yosef, right? Delo megilit, that you will not reveal that I couldn't learn that language. Ishtabaile. Yosef took a vow to him. Ki amarle, but then Yosef also says, Avi hishba'ani lemor. My father made me take an oath. And he tells him what it
This
is.
is much later.
Okay,
in the timeline.
right? And Marley, he says to him, Zil ichil ashvu atecha. What happens is Pharaoh was hesitant to let Yosef go. Afterwards, he decides, okay, since you made an oath on my behalf, okay, and you kept silent, okay, I let you fulfill your
Well,
oath to your
He
father.
says to Yosef, go
We'll
be
get to it. We'll
Matin
get to it in a
Eder.
second. Okay. Zil ichil ashwote. Go and fulfill your vow. Amarle, it says, v'ichile nami adidach. But if you're holding me back from fulfilling the vow to my father, I will also have to reveal the vow that I made for you, Pharaoh. Okay. What happens? The afal gav deno lechale. And even though it wasn't comfortable for Pharaoh, Amarle ale ukvoret avicha kahasher heshbiacha. Then Pharaoh says, go up and bury your father as you promised. And we're going to stop right there, okay? Because then we go on to compare the episode with Yehuda, and we'll pick that up tomorrow. Okay?
Come on, get tomorrow. You work.
Yeah, I'll do it.
You'll do it tomorrow?
And then Monday and Tuesday.
All right. Bob, thank you very much.
Any
Of course, it goes over there. It's fresh snow day.
Thank you, Rabbi.
You're welcome. Thanks a lot. No, that's somebody else. Yes, very much so. Thank you. You know, even though I take medication in the morning, sometimes it takes it longer to.
We all, that's not, that's not.